It's that time again. The annual conference of the American Society of Ag Consultants, otherwise known as ASAC, is going to be held in Fort Myers, Florida, this November 4th and 5th. Kurt Covington is one of 9 professionals who will address the conference. The other speakers who will cover a wide range of topics represent Florida Farm Bureau, Florida Citrus Commission, University of Tennessee Institute of Agriculture, National Ag Law Center, Risk Mitigators and Advisors, Tyler Associates, as well as the lead economist for dairy at CoBank, and myself, Chrissy Wozniak from North American Ag. The day and a half of presentations will be followed by ag tours on Tuesday afternoon at Echo Farms, one of my favorite places here in Fort Myers. Attendees will experience farming at its most creative, with unique demonstrations, plants, and techniques being used to help farmers and urban gardeners in developing countries. A second tour at Echo will showcase simple technologies that can improve food, water, and shelter for millions of people. A third tour of a hydroponic grower is also being planned. For more information and to register, visit www.agconsultants.org. That's www.agconsultants.org. See you there. The American Royal is the nation's highest caliber livestock show, providing a premier experience for exhibitors. Rooted in their legacy, which began in 1899, they're committed to providing a platform for competition, scholarships, and education. A Kansas City tradition, the American Royal is focused on creating an environment where all feel welcome, where agriculture is elevated and champions are crowned. The American Royal is currently celebrating its 123rd year and looking forward to hosting exhibitors from October 6th to 23rd right in Kansas City, Missouri. If you're interested in showing, be sure to check out their website for more information regarding entry information and deadlines. www.americanroyal.com. That's www.americanroyal.com, or follow the link in the show notes. Entries are due September 10th. Welcome to the North American Ag Spotlight. I'm Chrissy Wozniak. My guests today are from a nonprofit that helps veterans transition from service to a second career in farming or agriculture. Tod Bunting is a retired Air Force Major General with over 30 years of service. He has devoted his post-military life to veteran care. Also with us today is Virgil Williams, and he is also a veteran and runs operations at Save Farm. From the Save Farm, I would like to welcome Tod and Virgil. Thank you so much for being here today.
Hey, we're glad to be with you. Looking forward to talking to you.
Yeah. And first of all, thank you both for your service. Not only, while you were serving, but also after. You guys are making a great difference in the world.
We're trying.
Yeah. So can you each tell me a bit about your backgrounds? Tod, would you want to start?
Okay. Yeah. I spent my career in the Air Force and in the National Guard. Several assignments all over the country. I'm an Air Force contingency type person, so I'm trained to do a variety of things, but mostly all centered around the Air Force being able to operate anywhere in the world. And then I ultimately retired as the Adjutant General of Kansas, which was responsible for the Army and Air National Guard and emergency management and homeland security in Kansas. And that's where I met a lot of the people that are currently involved with the Save Farm, but I had a particular interest in resiliency while I was still in uniform with the epidemic of veterans and currently serving member suicide. So when I got out, I ultimately found my way to the Save Farm and our mission to help veterans transition from the service into a career in farming, and also to help them heal as part of the transition process.
Right. And Virgil?
I served 24 years in the Army. I've been just about everywhere that the Army could send you: Germany, Korea, in the desert. But throughout my time in the military, I kind of fell in love with Manhattan, Kansas area. So when I retired, I wanted to move back here. Once I got here, I tried to do the typical retirement thing and sit back and enjoy life, but just sitting around wasn't me. And then I saw a job opportunity on Indeed to work with veterans and volunteer, and the position was actually for operations, which was something I did most of my career in the Army. So when I applied and I did my interview, one of the things that really got me was they mentioned that I'll have more opportunities to help out veterans and service members. I was like, well, that's basically what I enjoyed doing while I was in the military. So it was like a win-win situation for me.
That's incredible. And so what does Save Farm stand for?
Save Farm is an acronym. It's Service Member, Agricultural, Vocational, Education.
Amazing. And why was this incredible project started?
Well, there was a group of people that started SAVE, but the original idea came from a longtime Army veteran, a Special Forces officer that had multiple tours in Vietnam and had post-traumatic stress, and had found great relief in his particular case with beekeeping. And from that, him and his daughter, who was a behavioral health specialist, saw the need, saw the crisis of veteran suicide, and knew that there was also healing that came from farming, not just bees, but from just being outside. And so they came up with this idea, and it started with a lot of beekeeping and things of that nature, mostly beekeeping. And then I happened to know him because he had been the garrison commander at Fort Riley. So he recruited myself and several others that are actually still on the board 6 years later to come on board and branch out and to truly put some fidelity to this program. And over those many years, we've come up with the program we have now that is approved by the Kansas Board of Regents, and veterans can use their GI Bill starting this fall, or we have other grants from the Department of Ag where we can help them transition. They come and spend 5 months with us, and we graduate a safe apprentice. We're not miracle workers. And we have just seen through the years that Virgil and I have been involved that being outside, being around other vets, but just mostly being on a farm and just having a chance to learn a different trade in a safe environment has really proven to be a great way to get people to enjoy life more and to have a meaning in their life.
Yeah, for sure. That's really powerful. And as you said a few minutes ago, veterans have a very high rate of suicide. And one of my most dear friends in the world, he served in the Canadian military in Afghanistan. And I've been fortunate enough to share in some of his journey over the last decade or so. And so I know firsthand some of the struggles that he's had to face returning to normal life. So can you both tell me what a veteran goes through while transitioning from service to civilian?
Sure. I can tell you that's a very complicated question because there's no one answer, because each veteran has had a different level of experience and a number of years of service, how many times they were put in a difficult situation. Right. I would say the primary thing that's difficult is you don't necessarily see things, or you don't operate the same way that other people do. And so the transition is going from a very structured, I wouldn't say rigid, but a structured clarity of your life, and that you have it's very simple on what you're going to do. It's a difficult job, but it's simple. And then when you come out and you're not around people exactly like yourself, focused on the same thing every day, you sometimes not sure you fit in. Now that's for all veterans. And then those that have experienced the worst of it, those that were in combat and perhaps were wounded themselves or lost their battle buddy or wingman, that's a level of trauma and hurt that is hard to explain if you haven't experienced it. And then I guess the other part that, again, can vary so dramatically is we come from a country that truly values life and values all lives, but has a sense of morality and decency to it. And when you're placed somewhere where they don't have that, and you see those horrors of people that use others, it's just difficult to think that your fellow human being can be that way. And so sometimes you get back, you come from America where that never happens, and then you go somewhere and you see that kind of inhumanity, and it's hard for you sometimes to ever get your arms around that on this same earth we all inhabit, that there are just some bad people out there. There really are bad people out there. And that's our job to take care of that. But it doesn't mean it doesn't stay with you when you've had to keep this country safe from from folks that I think most people could never imagine just how they are. And sometimes it bothers you because your humanity is all of what you are. Like Virgil said, he taking care of fellow veterans is what he lives to do. So he has a compassion that is his greatest strength. It's difficult to see someone who has none. And so that occasionally is difficult when you are around folks that don't have any compassion or any sense of decency.
Yeah, that's understandable. And Virgil, do you have anything to add to that?
Todd basically hit everything on the head. Only thing I would add is it's when you transition out, you are used to, whether you know it or not, constantly going to formation for accountability. You're seeing people every day. It's like being in a family. But once you transition out of service, you don't have that. And it's something that people take for granted, just seeing other people, whether you have the same ideas or whatever, but seeing them on a regular basis, it builds like a sense of wanting and a sense of like a family environment. Once you're out of the service, it's hard to find that because it's, even though me and Todd work together, at any given time, we won't see each other on a daily basis. So one of the things I like about SAVE is we are bringing soldiers and airmen, basically service members, in to transition into ag, but we're also letting them know, hey, look, this is a community that we're building. So if you feel that you need to talk to somebody, we're always here.
Wow.
You can always come out to the farm and we'll be there for you.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's incredible.
That is exactly right. You can be alone if you want to be alone, but not if you don't want to be. And it's hard to find when like you said, when you don't have that anymore. I always tell everybody it's the greatest strength of the military is the fact that we're uniform and we do everything according to a certain way. Sometimes when you're in uniform, you get kind of tired of that. But then when you get out, you go, well, dadgum, there was more to that than I thought, because that was predictable. You didn't have to worry on any given day about certain things. And you get out, it's like, maybe I like that structure more than I thought I did.
Yeah, that makes sense. And the organization's goal is to produce 100 new farmers per year, which I think is amazing. So why is that such an important goal?
Well, it's twofold on that. And one, there is a crisis in America in farming. American ag is under stress, as I know you do and most of our audience does. There's a lot of discussion about what percentage of American farms are in their final generation, with no successor. It's at least 60%, sometimes higher. So when we started this, we have had tremendous support from our local farmers, from our Department of Ag here in Kansas. But the United States Department of Agriculture has been the greatest supporter of SAVE we have had with their grants, programs. And then we've had great support from John Deere. So we also know that we're helping veterans transition into a meaningful way of life. And we're going to help solve the crisis of succession on farms, or just the fact that farming needs skilled help. Every industry in America is suffering from having an available skilled workforce. And we've always thought that farming requires rigor, it requires physical stamina, it requires discipline. And not that we're the only ones with that, but if you successfully serve in the United States military of any branch, of any specialty, you're going to come out with a high work ethic and discipline. If you don't have either one of those, you won't come out successfully. And so we believe we're a good match for the industry because our typical veteran likes to be outside, is not afraid of hard work. So we've always thought we were a good match for farming. So the twofold is it helps our veterans find something that's a good match for them, and it helps American agriculture, farmers and ranchers, either find a successor or just find probably the best help they ever hired in a veteran who will work hard and come to work every day and take pride in their work. So we've always thought we were a good match to help, to the extent we can, solve the problem of available skilled labor in agriculture, and in a best case scenario, our veterans reach the point where they help with farm succession.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And so tell me about the farm. Where is it and what's grown there?
Okay. Again, either one of us can answer this. I'll take it, and Virgil can jump in on the stuff. We are north of Manhattan. We're out in the country, but our address is Riley, Kansas. We're 2 miles from the boundaries of Fort Riley. We're a 308-acre farm. I mentioned we're close to Fort Riley because we can hear them over there on the farm. It's normally pretty tranquil out there, but when the army trains, they make a lot of racket.
Wow.
And but most of us really like that. So we're 308 acres. We're about, say about a third of that, or probably about 40% is tillable, is row crop, is the rest of it is pasture. We're a sustainable agriculture program, so we teach rotational grazing. We have a hay crop. We have our own cattle herd, and then we grow a variety of things. I mean, part of what we do is expose veterans to a variety of things. So typical crops for us would be wheat, soybeans, and sorghum, but we might occasionally grow corn. Not that often, but at least on a small plot we would. And then because beekeeping is still a big part of what we do, back to our origins, we are very sensitive to plant things that need pollinated. So we will probably evolve as we get our land improved to growing quite a bit of alfalfa,
Wow.
which is a good crop and is also one of the most bee-friendly crops there are. And then we have an orchard. It's called our honor orchard, and we grow blackberries and hazelnut trees. And then we also maintain a large victory garden with history of those from World War I and II, where Americans were encouraged to grow their own vegetables to take the pressure off of the supplies for fighting the war. And so we're proud of our history. And so we have a victory garden as well and grow a variety of crops. And then we also have our own high tunnel, so we can grow year round. So.
Yeah, that's really cool. Virgil?
And one of the other things that we do is part of our program, if somebody wants to learn about rabbits, then if they have rabbits, we have the space for them to bring it on the farm.
Oh.
So like Todd always says, at any given time where Old McDonald had a farm.
Yeah.
You can find
great.
us about everything out there in the farm with us.
Yep.
Oh, that's cool. And when does the course start each year?
It changes as we've evolved, but basically January, and then again in July, maybe August.
Wow.
Flexes a little bit. 5 months, very intense. A minimum of 3 full days a week, sometimes 4, and then many times, on their own with some of the projects they have, they'll stay late or whatever. And then depending, of course, on each course and the flexibility, we have designed it now to give veterans more time back at home, or if they have a second job while they're going through the training. So it's very intense, and that's why it's 3 really full days, and sometimes 4, depending on the course. And that gives the veteran back to their family or the other students, because not all of our students are veterans. And so we've evolved to that from, we used to be 5 days a week, and now we're 3 and sometimes 4 days a week. So.
Nice. That makes sense. It's good that it also gives them time for their life as well. That's really
Virgil does a great job of talking to the veterans and figuring out just what each particular class, what will work for them, all with the intent of we're just trying to help improve people's lives, give them some meaning. And so we don't have a rigid absolute on certain things, because we'll flex that based on the class that's coming in and somewhat their interest and just, somewhat the weather. But it's the number of hours that we complete is absolutely hard and fast, because that's part of our certification. But we have a little bit of flex on how we get there, because farming doesn't necessarily lend itself, as you know, to a rigid schedule. People ask us all the time. They say, will the students be there for the harvest? It depends. Mother Nature decides when we harvest wheat, not.
yeah. That's funny. And so what is the curriculum? Is there a balance between bookwork, management skills, and hands-on training?
Sure. Virgil's the right guy to answer that.
That would depend basically on the class. Like when we're going through agribusiness management, that's basically geared to where we help them to develop a business plan and understand the parts and the requirements of a business plan. That's a class that you really can't go outside and do. So that's going to be more of a classroom type. But then we go into things like range management and water quality. That's a class where you maybe spend 20% of your time inside doing the book work and learning from a book. But then the rest of the time, they're outside on the prairie land, working with the ponds and seeing the way the ground contours and things of that nature. So it really depends on what class they're taking at that current time.
I see. Yeah, it sounds very well-rounded.
Right.
And-
we have a bias to getting your hands dirty. Mm-hmm. So you mentioned COVID, and we all know those challenges. Mm-hmm. We're not really a virtual program, and that for what we think is involved with the healing part of it, we need to have contact with people. They need to be out at the farm and hearing all of our old McDonald critters making noise, and they need to feel the wind and all of those things. So we're probably, Virgil could correct me, but we're probably at 55, 60% hands-on, 40% classroom. But of course, the classroom is outdoors when we're outside working. But we believe that in particular, because we're created for veterans, a classic course of all academics would probably not fit what we're trying to do. We understand that, and we do have rigid structure that we have to meet and tests that we have to take, and they have a finishing program that's a business plan that has to be approved. So we do all that because we are a school, and we're proud of the fact we're a school. But what really makes us different is that we are really outside a lot.
Yeah, that's great. And how does somebody apply?
Oh, any one of a number of ways. Virgil can walk you through that too.
They can go online at our website and apply that way, which will send when they go on our website and they apply, they send a request for an application.
Okay.
From there, myself or one of the other staff members would send them basically a letter of intent to explain everything to them, what they're expected, how they would go about continuing on with the process of applying. And then once we receive that back, we would go through with the actual application part. If like somebody wants to come to the farm to visit, they can once again go to our website and apply to do a visit on the farm. And most people, when they come out and they see where they're going to be learning at and the type of environment it's going to be in, a lot of them sit there and they'll say, hey, well, yeah, where do I sign up? At that point, I can have all the paperwork right there on hand for them, and they can start filling out the application there. One of the things that most people tend to forget is we are a school. So we're not just going to let any and everybody in. So if you have issues or things of that nature, we will screen you out to the best of our ability, and then we'll let you know if you actually was accepted or not. But other than that, the application's easy. You can call us and let us know, hey, look, I'm interested, and we can go through the process of getting the information to you. It's
pretty simple.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. And can you tell me about some success stories, like people that have gone through the course and where they are now?
Sure. Now, some of them we've kind of lost track of because they're busy and we're busy. But the two that come to mind, we had a veteran come through, Army veteran, completed the program, came into the program pretty much convinced they wanted to be a cattle rancher. Mm-hmm. And got exposed that the old McDonald had a farm there to sheep and liked that, but really went head over heel for goats.
Really?
It never, if you would ask them on day one, they'd say, I don't have to do with those deadgum goats. And next thing you know, they take a shiny goats, and now they have a rapidly growing, they are happy as they can be, a farm about an hour from here, and just loving life as goat farmers. A couple came through, and that's one of the things that's really also, we really encourage, because some of our veterans, not in this particular case, but many of our veterans have some cognitive issues based on the injuries that they incurred serving their country. So again, that's not this particular case, but we encourage veterans like that to come through with their spouse. So most recently, we had a veteran that did not have any cognitive issues, but had really had some tough tours. Came through with his wife and his son, and the son, would go and play certain times, but was a great young boy, 10 years old. But they completed the program together. They have their own farm now, and they're mostly in poultry, both ducks and chickens. But they're also looking at some specialty crops with some lavender and a variety of things. And so they are one of our successes of folks that we would call a small-scale, diversified farm. And so they have their own farm and started their own business. And so those are two of our most recent examples of folks that came to the farm, didn't necessarily know for sure what they wanted to do, and left and are really, they're what we are there for. They are happily transitioned in farming. And that's why Virgil and I get up every day and go out there and try to make that possible. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. And Virgil, who comes to mind for you?
We had a couple students that came through. They really didn't complete the program because when they came through, it was a 11-month program, but they really got involved in range management. And now those two guys are working on Fort Riley with a contracting company, and they're basically pursuing the passion and making sure that the land on Fort Riley, even though they're using it for training areas, is preserved and is well taken care of.
Wow. So the path forward after that is very diverse then.
It is. We do, as I mentioned, I guess sometimes I use baseball analogies. A walk-off home run for us is somebody that moves to a farm that's in its final generation and takes over that farm. And we have had a few cases of that a few years ago. COVID has really slowed things down. But recently we find that a lot of our veterans really want to be great stewards of the land. Yeah. And they don't necessarily aspire to own thousands of acres of land and have hundreds of head of cattle. They want to do like Virgil said, be somewhere and make sure that we are good stewards of the land. And there's a reward in that. And others want just small scale or very diversified, where they could probably do what they need to do on just a few acres. When we first started, we didn't necessarily envision that, but farming is expensive, both from an equipment and just buying the land. And we have really put a lot of effort into showing them how it's possible to have a meaningful, fulfilling job. And you don't necessarily have to be a land or a cattle baron. So.
Yeah, that's amazing. So for any listener out there or somebody watching the interview, if they are inspired to help, how can they do that? And I'm assuming that you would accept help as well.
Sure. Of course, again, the website, but on our website, you can call us, and we do have a service. So if you call, it'll be recorded, and Virgil or I will call you back pretty quickly. Yeah. And we have an arrangement with a local volunteer, the Flint Hills Volunteer Center, that has people come out and help us. We welcome pretty much everyone. One of the things I forgot to mention, we don't turn somebody away for any physical limitation. We have our own track chairs. We are ADA compliant. So anybody can come, and we will accommodate what is your interest and what your capacity is. So I just want to clarify, when we screen people, it's mostly to make sure that they truly have an interest and don't have any, history where they would be not safe on the farm, which is true for any walk of life. And then just a little bit of cognition to make sure that if they're going to enroll in the certificated program, that they could complete it. And it would be the same thing with the volunteer. We would just find out what they want to do. And if they want to help us administratively, that would be fine. Or if they want to come out and work, we would just assess where they could help us in a safe manner. So we don't typically have people come out and help us operate equipment, because that's very dangerous, and you have to have a certain skill set. So if you came out to volunteer, we wouldn't teach you to operate equipment. If you came out and already knew how to operate equipment, that would be different, if that makes sense. So, and we can take help for once a year for 4 hours in the garden, or we can help any one of a number of ways. just coming out there is the best tool we've got. So the biggest thing I can tell you is, and we appreciate that help with volunteers. If you'll come out and see us, and you'll walk around that place, I bet you'll find something you'd like to help us out with, because it's pretty powerful. The fresh air and all the things that go on in a farm are about as good a therapy as we think you can find.
I'm sure. I would love to come visit someday. I will.
We're not saying there's not a role for virtual, but you can't get a good feel for the same farm virtually. You got to come out there and get knee deep in it to get a feel for what this place is.
For sure. And if somebody wants to donate as well,
absolutely,
how do they go about that?
And we belong to a community foundation. Way to participate that way, it's very simple. Get to our website or get a hold of us. We have had donations from all over the country, and people that have heard about us from several states away, and they'll just send us whatever they can afford. Sometimes our donations are designated where they want them to go to a particular thing. Most commonly, that's towards either the honor orchard or some kind of water. Water is a challenge for a lot of the country. And so we've had some very good donations to help us put in wells so that we can practice our rotational grazing, or make sure that we can maintain our honor orchard. So we've had private individuals that in particular really like to donate to something tangible, like a piece of equipment or a tree or things of that nature.
Yeah. Oh, that's really cool.
Or but we can always use another tractor.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good one. And so I have one last question for each of you. Why, we've touched on a lot of the reasons why, but personally, what's at the heart of why you serve the industry, and what is your greatest passion of all of this? Virgil, you start.
For me, it's really about helping out others. I can sit there and be content with being by myself and my family. But when I get the opportunity to help out others in the community, not just veterans, but just help out others and see a smile and know that, hey, I actually contributed to making somebody's life different. If it's not for better, at least I'm trying not to make it worse. But if I can actually make a difference in their life, that's fulfilling to me. So that's one of my biggest things there.
Yeah, that's amazing. And Tod?
Well, I like to hang out with guys like Virgil, who I had the privilege to serve with. So I like to still be around fellow veterans. But for me, I know from our service, Virgil and I both, that even though it was rigorous and difficult, some of our brothers and sisters had a hard go. And just get up every day saying they need to get off the porch. They need to know that there's a group of people out there, fellow veterans and others, that care about them. And so this farm is where we would tell people, we are not going to turn you away. If you're wheelchair bound, whatever, this is a place you can come to. So to me, my passion is that no veteran ever feels like that there isn't plenty of people out there that are trying to figure out a way to improve their life. And some of them, there will be a limit to what they can do. But I get up every day to make sure that is as small a limit as possible, and that they've got meaning and fulfillment. I've just seen too many that end up with a level of medication that they sit on the front porch and kind of somewhat have cognition of the world going by. And I think if we could get them out here or in a program like this around the country, get outside and be around some folks that they know care about them and get their hands in the dirt, I think there's a healing in that needs to be replicated. And that's what we got started here. And our ultimate goal is that no veteran anywhere would have to travel very far to find a place like this that's solely exists to help them to heal and transition from serving their country to something meaningful to get up and go do every day.
Yeah, well, those are some incredible, honorable goals. Appreciate you guys so much for joining me today. Great conversation, and I learned something. And now I have a bucket list thing. I need to come visit that farm because it sounds so cool.
You need to come out and see us. we got stuff that'll fit your hands. We got all kinds of things you can see and do, and we would be honored if you'd come out and see us. So.
That would be great. And thanks to everybody who's watching or listening. If you want to learn more, all the links are provided in the show notes. And don't forget to subscribe to North American Egg Spotlight on YouTube, Rumble, Telegram, or Egg Fuse channels. And the podcast is available on Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, Amazon, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And have a great day.
Thank you. Take care.
Thanks so much for listening to today's Egg Spotlight episode, where we put the spotlight on people and companies doing great things for the agricultural industry. Don't forget to subscribe on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, Stitcher, or on your favorite podcasting platform, and give us a 5-star review. You can also follow us on YouTube and Rumble to see the video version of Ag Spotlight. Also, head on over to NorthAmericanAg.com to subscribe to our Industry Connect update newsletter. If you're interested in advertising opportunities, email us at connect@NorthAmericanAg.com. Thanks for listening. Our newest podcast by North American Ag is called What Color is Your Tractor? The stories behind the ag brands you love and the ag brands you love to hate. Hosted by me, Chrissy Wozniak. We take a deep dive into the companies that have built modern agriculture. Subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform. Go to whatcolorisyourtractor.com. Available on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to podcasts.